The meeting open, and I would like to remind everybody that the meeting is being live streamed. The prayer of the council will be read by our CEO, Dr. Eddie Jackson.
Good evening, Madam Councillors. Our acknowledgement of country. Before we begin proceedings, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and their ancestors past and present, the Gabbargal clan of the Darug Nation. I also acknowledge that this land was accessed by peoples of the Darawal and Darug Nations. The Affirmation of Council. We affirm our hope and dedication to the good government of our city and the well-being of all of Liverpool's residents, no matter their race or creed. Tonight, we affirm our hope for sound decision-making by Council, which will improve the quality of life in our city. We express our expectations and best wishes for Australia, our nation's future, the Mayor, councillors and staff of Council, and all those associated with good government in Liverpool. The prayer of Council. For the God of our faith, we who are gathered at Liverpool City Council pray for the good government of our city. We pray for the well-being of all of Liverpool's residents, no matter their race, gender or creed. Tonight we pray for sound decision-making by Council, which can improve the quality of life in our city. We pray for Australia, our nation's future, for the Mayor, councillors and staff of Council, and all those associated with good government in Liverpool. Amen.
Thank you. Do we have any apologies? Take it that's nil. Do we have any condolences? Nil. Previous meeting minutes?
Move that way. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Shelton. Seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Hadid.
The declaration of interest, Madam Mayor, did you miss that?
No, that's next, Councillor.
Okay.
Declarations of interest?
Yes, I have one, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Did. What is that?
Plan 01.
It's on, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the president of Association of Owner Property Subjects to Compulsory Acquisition.
Okay, thank you. And you'll go off.
It is non-pecuniary,
okay.
but it's significant, and I will leave my room actually.
You'll leave the virtual room.
The meeting room.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Any others? No? All right. Public submissions. We call for written submissions when we are in this particular vibe. Do we have any, George?
None, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that. I have a Merrill minute, which I'll read to you. It's relating to the retirement of Reverend Stuart Pearson. Today we acknowledge the Reverend Stuart Pearson of St Luke's Church, Liverpool, is on the occasion of his retirement. Reverend Pearson officially ends his tenure today on the 30th of June. Reverend Pearson has served as a minister at St Luke's Church for 25 years, with 20 of those years as a senior minister. During his time at St Luke's, Reverend Pearson has presided over many important occasions as a minister. One of the most notable occasions was in 2019, the 200th anniversary of St Luke's Church, at which I was privileged to be present. Reflecting on Liverpool's multicultural heritage, Bible passages in more than 20 languages were read at the event. Also during Reverend Pearson's tenure, a Nepalese congregation was welcomed into St Luke's in 2010. Reverend Pearson made a trip to Nepal a few years ago, visiting the people associated with the Liverpool Nepalese congregation. Reverend Pearson has also generously given his time to support several council events over the years, including most recent our participation in Liverpool Anzac Day commemorations. Friends since Year 7 with newly elected Anglican Bishop of Sydney, Kanayisha Raphael, Reverend Pearson led prayers for Archbishop Raphael on his election on May the 6th this year. Reverend Pearson and Archbishop Raphael also attended the Theological College together. Reverend Pearson will continue to reside in the area following his retirement and attend St Luke's as a parishioner. I, along with many people working in Liverpool City Council, have had the privilege of knowing Reverend Pearson, Stuart, over his years at St Luke's, and I sincerely thank him for his service, his church, and the community also thanks him. I really wish him and his partner the best in retirement. So I'm recommending that Council acknowledges the service of Reverend Stuart Pearson at St Luke's Anglican Church, Liverpool, and the support he's given to the wider Liverpool community and Liverpool City Council. Write to Reverend Stuart Pearson on the occasion of his retirement and acknowledge his service to St Luke's, the Anglican Church, and the Liverpool community, enclosing a copy of the Mayoral Minute. I formally move that way.
Happy to second it, Madam Mayor.
Fortunately, a Mayoral Minute only needs the mover, which is great, but I appreciate your sentiments. I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. And it is quite sad to see Stuart go.
Can we move that one as unanimous, or does it? Yes.
Yeah, if people are happy with that, that'd be fine. Yes. We can put that in our correspondence to Stuart, because I think that would be lovely. Okay, moving on.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an urgency motion if it's possible.
Yes, certainly. What is it?
It's been spoken about this for quite a while, Madam Mayor.
Right.
And this is basically something that I strongly believe in, and something was put up 1st of April. I'd like to move that to ban real estate and property developers from being on Liverpool City Council. Speak a bit for it there, Madam Mayor. I do and have held that opinion for many, many years. I believe one of our councillors, Councillor Ayad, 1st of April, have put a motion up and was withdrawn for whatever reason that might have been. I think it is definitely a conflict of interest there, Madam Mayor. I can go into depth and give examples, but I think the public at large, be in Liverpool, for me doing a bit of homework and asking quite a few constituents, it is something that I think, from my understanding, talking to people, something that needs to happen, and people do think that it's something that a position of power that can be influenced, and therefore I believe personally and probably other constituents that I've spoken to, that an individual who does practice in a real estate field and equally property developer should not be in that position. So I move.
Before you go any further, Councillor Blewett, I don't have a problem with the notion of your motion, pardon the poem. I just want to know why I believe I know why it would be urgent, but why do you believe it would be urgent?
Well, ma'am, because I think it's an opportunity for all of us to acknowledge, and I believe there is the upper house have moved a motion that was passed, still remains to go to the lower house. So based on that and many other things, Madam Mayor, I think it is urgent to ensure that local government is as transparent as anyone could wish for.
I will deem that urgent. Would you like to put that motion now before we can do our business?
Absolutely, Madam Mayor.
So formally moved by Councillor Blewett that real estate agents and property developers be prevented from being candidates as councillors on Liverpool City Council. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'd like to add an amendment or just make an addition to this motion if the mover and the seconder are happy.
Well, what is it, Councillor?
Well, I think if that's going to be put real estate agents and property developers, I think it needs to be expanded, and it needs to be everybody who works in the construction industry, because they fall under the same. I mean, if you're insinuating that these people are going to be privy to certain knowledge or things happening in council in the local area, then also construction workers fall under that area also, because they're also making a living from working on construction sites and building homes which are then sold by real estate agents. And I'd like to also point out that I think this motion kind of insinuates that all real estate agents are dodgy. I don't like the wording, but if it was to go ahead, it would have to include everyone in the construction industry.
Well, that's adding to the motion. I'll ask the mover and the seconder, are they happy with the additional words of working in the construction industry?
I will not be happy, Madam Mayor. Move the motion as is.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Calienda?
No, Madam Mayor, I would like to second the motion as it is.
Right, thank you. Councillor Haggerty, you had your hand up.
No, it was just in response to Councillor Ayad's point. If it was accepted, that I think if it's urgent on the basis that it's currently in Parliament, then it has to be specifically around what the amendment in Parliament is, which is what's in front of us.
Okay, all right, point taken. Councillor Ayad, the amendment is refused. You'll have your right of discussion in the debate. Councillor Balut, you wish to debate this at this point?
No, Madam Mayor. I think the real estate is a full-time worker, and we know what property developer is. Most people do. We do certainly. Unlike people, plumbers and others that Councillor Ayad referred to. So no, I'm sorry, but I cannot accept that.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor.
No, that's fine. Any speaker against?
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
I'm confused about this because I thought Councillor Balut had a real estate agent's licence.
Yes, indeed. Never practiced nor ever held trust account.
Okay.
And I'm happy to relinquish my real estate licence if that is the case without any hesitation. Never sold, practiced, lobbied or anything of that type.
Can I stop you, Councillor Blute? You do not have to give Councillor Rhodes an explanation. What she's asking is personal information, which is not pertinent to your motion because this is
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So, Councillor Rhodes, that was a really inappropriate question to be asking. Councillor Did. Councillor Did.
Yeah, well, thanks, Madam Mayor. Well, quite honestly, I believe this motion means nothing unless the state government make a decision in this regard. So I don't know why Councillor Balut brought up these subjects right now. So as you know, we haven't got the power to ban any real estate agent or developer or whatever unless the state government make a decision in this regard. So it's a pointless. It's make no issue at all. So, but that's it. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. We got another speaker for?
Against, Madam Mayor.
Well, just wait your turn, Councillor Hull. Anybody else wish to speak for?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, can I just clarify, was Councillor Hull saying that he was speaking in favour of this motion?
No, I think he said against.
I'm against it.
In that case, I'd like to speak in favour of it.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor.
Look, I think, the broader community and all councillors are aware of some of the significant issues that have, come in front of us because of the perception of property developers and real estate agents influencing the decisions of council. I think it's really important that we send a message to the community that we as a council prioritise transparency, that we prioritise the needs of our community above perceptions of corruption and being influenced by certain people within our community. I think all councillors will know from discussions with various community members just how deep that perception goes out there in the community, and it's really important that we take a stand and that we send a message more broadly and say, these are the kinds of things we want to do for our community, and these are the types of decisions that we are making for the interests of our community at large, not for certain interests.
Mayor, isn't that a point of order?
I don't know. What's your point of order, Councillor?
I just feel that those comments are basically, they're vilifying people. This isn't the Australian way. It's vilifying people. It's saying that people are corrupt. It's saying that people are dodgy. And in order for it not to insinuate that, I'm sorry, the wording must be changed. It must include construction workers, and it must also include, in my opinion, political staffers.
No, I'm sorry, Councillor. That is rule. I'm not upholding your point of order. Thank you. Councillor Hall, you wish to speak against?
Yes, Madam Mayor. While I agree overall with the concept, I don't believe it's in our power to do so. And in any case,
Exactly.
it shouldn't be just real estate agents or property developers. There are other ties here as well. If it's going to do this, it needs to go a lot further. It probably ought to be, if you're going to talk about that, it should also be financial advisors who are going to advise on property developments who could be councillors. You know, if you want to take that point of view, I really believe we need to wait until the state government decides on what is or is not appropriate. And at this time, we're being very, very premature. And I don't believe that we should be even considering this at this stage until the state government decides on what is valid or is not valid.
I agree with you, Councillor.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Can I suggest the mover and the seconder add on to their motion that these sentiments be conveyed to the state government, just so that if it doesn't pass, or it doesn't obviously go to the state government, but if it does, actually that sentiment gets moved along. Okay, Councillor Haggerty, you have your hand up.
Yep. What I was going to suggest...
Point of order, Mayor.
Pardon, Councillor?
Point of order.
What's your point of order, Councillor?
The bit that you added into the motion, was that agreed to by the mover and the seconder?
Well, I'll ask them if they're agreeing to that sentiment. Councillor Balut, do you agree to if this moves through the system, that this be conveyed to the state government?
Well, I don't mind that the state government, in addition to what we put there, Madam Mayor, to consider who that could be sitting in that chair that may cause a conflict of interest or be influenced.
Okay, Councillor Caliander, are you okay with it?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So point of order has been sorted. Thank you. Councillor Haggerty, you wish to...
I'll speak for it, but I think given the sentiments that I've heard from other councillors, perhaps if the mover and seconder are open to sort of changing the wording, that something along the lines of that council support the recent amendment which passed the New South Wales Upper House to ban real estate agents and property developers.
Madam Mayor.
And the seconder, were they happy with that change?
I'll be happy with that, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Blute, and yes, I can see your head nodding, Councillor Caliander. So the wording be changed that council supports the recent amendments that passed in the New South Wales Upper House regarding whatever. Thank you, typist.
Sorry.
You wish to speak for it, Councillor Haggerty?
Yeah, sorry, it's just property developers. Sorry, I've just checked on online.
Okay. All right.
So I think we need the mover and seconder. That's a pretty significant change there.
Is the mover and seconder happy to have real estate agents removed?
As per the bill in the upper house.
Councillor Blute? I've lost Councillor Blute. Councillor Caliander?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
You're happy for that to be dropped out of the motion?
The real estate wording there, ma'am?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah. So,
I still think it is a vital conflict of interest there, but I think under the if a motion and it was moved in the upper house, that's probably yes, could be agreed to remove that.
okay, so you're comfortable with that, Councillor Caliander? Yes, the head's nodding. That's fine. So the motion now reads that council supports the recent amendments that were passed in the New South Wales Upper House regarding property developers, and in brackets says real estate agents, I suppose that gets you over the line, from being candidates in the Liverpool local government elections. Okay, thank you. Okay, so any speakers against? Councillor Shelton, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first sentence, is that staying? It's going. Okay, that's what I was after. The second question was going to be whether we've got the power or not. there, but now the first sentence just got deleted, I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Madam Mayor, I would like to also suggest that now with the wording being changed, that maybe construction workers are also included because they make a living from property development. So I think they should be included because ultimately, if this motion is called...
Just stopping you there, I'll just ask the mover and the seconder whether they're happy to have that included in the motion. Councillor Balut.
No, ma'am, as I said previously.
Before? Yep. Councillor Calienda?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so Councillor Add, may I suggest you speak against the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I will speak against the motion, namely because they don't want to include construction workers, and I also think it's got to be a lot more broader than that. It's got to include architects. It's got to include town planners. It's got to include what Councillor Peter Hull mentioned earlier. This is a very, very broad area, and I understand the sentiment behind the motion. And I do support the sentiment, but it's got to be a fair sentiment because at the moment it's vilifying certain people where other people are also making a living off the backs of these people. And sorry, this is vilifying people, and I'm not going to support a motion that vilifies people.
Thank you very much.
If they have architects, town planners, construction workers, they have my support all the way. But as long as they're not included, I'm sorry, I will not vilify people.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Rhodes?
Yes, Madam Mayor, can I suggest that it should be that anyone who profits from developments should not be on Liverpool Council? That would be inclusive of anybody that we're missing out with this particular motion.
I'll ask the mover and seconder if they're happy to have that in the motion. Councillor Balut, do you wish to have that sentiment in the motion?
How long piece of string, Madam Mayor? No,
that's fine. Councillor Calienda? Councillor Calienda?
If the mover is not amenable to it, then I guess it doesn't make a difference, but no.
Okay, Councillor Rose, do you wish to speak against the motion?
Yes, I would, Madam Mayor, on the strength of that, because to me, it does appear that it's only perhaps directed to some people and not everybody. And I agree with Councillor Ayard and Councillor Hull that, in fact, there is a whole gamut of people who do profit from development. And as such, that motion would have to be inclusive of everybody. So as the motion reads, no. I don't think that I could support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Haggerty, you've already spoken to the motion, so you can't have two bites of the cherry. Have you got a question?
I was going to say my first time I spoke was to the question, but if that's the chair's ruling, so be it.
Thank you. Councillor, any other speakers? Councillor Balut, do you wish your right to reply?
No, we said enough, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the vote. Now, George, have we got that sheet still hanging around, the magic sheet that I can't see on my computer? Oh, there we go.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
I just need to ask a question. With urgency motions, do councillors have the right to move a foreshadowed or put in an amendment?
You tried an amendment. The mover and seconder didn't agree.
Yeah.
If this is an urgency motion on its own legs, if this fails and you have an urgency motion, you can put it up and explain why you think it's urgent, and then I make a ruling. Okay.
Oh, okay. So that means we can't put up a foreshadowed when it's an urgency.
No.
Okay. No. Thank you for that.
That's no problem. Okay. Councillor Yard, you're voting against, I gather.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm against.
Councillor Balut, for. He moved it.
Of course.
Councillor Chitty?
He's not online, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Hadid? Against, I would gather. Councillor Haggerty?
For.
Councillor Hall, I would say against.
Against.
Yeah, we got it. Councillor Calienda?
For, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Carnip? I know he's here. He said something earlier.
For Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Rhodes?
Against, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sheldon?
For, thank you, Madam Mayor. Only just.
Thank you. The motion is 1. It proceeds as a motion. Thank you very much, councillors.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you for councillors who voted for. I think this is basically a win for Liverpool, in my honest opinion. Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you,
Mayor,
Councillor.
I would like to also put up an urgency motion.
What is your motion?
So my urgency motion is a follow-on from what our council has just voted on, and it is that all town planners, architects and anyone who benefits from property be banned from running on local council.
Thank you, councillor. And you're deeming it urgent because of the council elections, I would gather?
Well, I'm deeming it urgent in light of what they're voting on and discussing in Parliament at the moment, and in light of, the elections coming up, and in light of what my fellow Liberal councillor, Councillor Balut, has just put up.
Okay. All right. I will deem it urgent for the same grounds. Have you a seconder?
Yes, I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Ayard, would you like to speak to your motion?
Well, I believe that this motion is a follow-on from the motion that we have just voted on. This motion is much broader and it doesn't vilify people, and it puts everybody kind of in the same under the same umbrella rather than vilifying people. So I would very much like, if this got up, it would deem our council fair and respectable and will not affect our character, if you like.
Thank you. Councillor Caliander, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. Given that the previous motion was in line with something that was being considered by New South Wales Parliament, I'm wondering, at how this will be monitored, how there will be any sort of oversight in this, because I guess on the one hand, you want to have the impression of fairness and transparency, but, at what point does it become too broad that it becomes ineffective?
I believe we won't have the powers to have anything to do with this, as we all know, but I would suggest, for the sake of fairness, that we tack on the end of it that these sentiments, if it's successful, be conveyed to the state government. At least then the state government understands where we stand, if this is a successful motion.
Mayor, just a point of order, I guess.
Yes, councillor.
Anyone that profits from property. So if I sell my house for more than what I bought it for 10 years ago, I've profited from property. That's basically, then the way the Sydney property market works, it's very difficult to not profit from the sale of property.
Madam Mayor, I'll take that on board. Councillor Haggerty has a point, so I will put construction workers. The all town planners, architects, anyone that and that construction workers be banned from running as candidates for the Liverpool local council elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that is extremely transparent, and in response to Councillor Caliander's points, it would be policed exactly as the previous motion is policed, and I think it would be a little bit hypocritical to say that it can no longer be policed because it's broad.
Councillor Ayard, with respect, you've had your opening gamut, so please be quiet. You will have the right of reply, so hold on to those thoughts. Any speakers against this motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hull.
The definitions here are all wrong. What do you call a construction worker? What, somebody who's working on a construction site? This is, in my humble opinion, these motions are ridiculous because we do not know what the state government is going to do. This could make I understand the sentiments and I agree with the sentiments, but I believe we are going about this all the wrong way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hull. Anybody speaking for the motion?
Madam Mayor, I wonder if we could suggest a alteration to the motion.
If the mover and seconder agree, what is your suggestion?
That the motion read that anyone employed professionally to profit from developments be banned from running as a candidate in the Liverpool local government. So that would address Councillor Haggerty's concerns about if he sells his property, he's not allowed to stand. You'd have to be employed professionally within the...
Are you happy with that rewording, Councillor Ayard?
Look, I am happy, but I'm just concerned that, will that include all the trades, and will that still include the architects and town planners and engineers and financial advisors? Will it still include all of those?
If the wording is something like professional staff involved in the development industry, yes, it would.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to have those words included, Madam Mayor, please. Industry.
Thank you. Okay, were any speakers for the motion?
Involved in the industry to profit from developments.
Well, I think then you get the argument in fairness about who loses, who profits. So if their tax goes in and they've lost money, then they're right and they're okay, they can run. So I would suggest leave it as industry because then it's clearer.
That anyone employed professionally.
Now, councillors, anybody wishes to speak for the motion?
Madam Mayor.
You've spoken, Councillor.
I'll speak for the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes.
Madam Mayor, I think that it's a more fair motion than the one that has been put, and I do believe that as we are, as Councillor Hall has already pointed out, putting the cart before the horse, we should really have waited until we saw the results of what has gone up before government. But I personally would be much happier with this because to just single out some people doesn't to me sound fair. There's a whole gamut of problems about all of this, even our planning panels and things like that. Who's to say that they are not open to some sort of profit in the decisions that they make? This is a very, very hard thing to address. And I just personally think that the first motion didn't go anywhere near enough at addressing it. This one probably could be improved, but it is certainly better than the first motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody wishes to speak against?
I won't speak against, but I just want to clear it up, just the wording. So it's the top wording, correct? But also, is council moving that it approves of these sentiments, or that it actually wants to ban anyone in the upcoming elections who's involved in the construction? Because I don't know if that's legal.
We can't ban them, Councillor.
Yeah, so we need to put words in here around sort of sentiment and, yeah.
And that is why it's important to let the state government know what the sentiments of the council is.
So that council endorses the sentiment that blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be fine. Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
No, I would agree with.
To agree to that amendment, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor, are you agreeing with that amendment? It's just the tidying up the first part, saying that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Balut, do you wish to speak?
I would agree with adding that council endorses the sentiment with Councillor Rhodes, what she put up. I would agree with that.
Right, thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Ayard, you have the right to reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, along with the sentiment in the previous motion that you voted for and got moved on the floor of council. I hope that this one also is successful for us to convey our sentiments about these issues. It will allow for transparency, which we all aim for. And I hope that you're on board and you support it, rather than only support one motion which vilifies people and could possibly make you look like a hypocrite. I'd be honoured if you also supported the motion before you tonight. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I just, with the wording again, would it be more appropriate that council endorses the sentiment that professional staff involved in the construction and development industry?
I hate to say, but from a structural perspective, we've taken the right of reply, so the debate is closed and the chance of changing this is closed as well. I apologise, but that's the way it goes. All right, well, we'll take the vote.
Would it be okay if the mover accepted that change, Madam Mayor?
I just explained the debate is over, the motion is on the floor, and you can't change it any further at this point in meeting procedure. So,
can I put a foreshadowed motion to the urgency motion, Madam Mayor?
Councillor, I think the patience of the chair is being very, very strained, but hold on to that thought. Okay, I'm going to ask George to put the voting sheet up.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just so we're clear on what we're voting, we're removing the bottom one, I believe.
Yes, and it says the council endorses the sentiment. Wish they'd make the font bigger. It's gone. No, the council. Can you make the font bigger, please? I need new glasses, I think. That council endorses the sentiment that professional staff involved in the construction industry, thank you, be banned from running as a candidate at the Liverpool local government elections. So that is the motion, moved by Councillor Ayard and seconded by Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Ayard, I imagine you're voting for?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Balut?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Chitty? Councillor Didd?
Yes.
Councillor Haggerty?
Yep.
Councillor Hull?
Yes.
Councillor Calienda?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Cunney?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Rhodes?
Yeah.
Councillor Shelton?
It's a bridge too far. No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I declared the motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to the agenda, we have the first item and it's on page 57.
I have to leave the virtual room.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Goodbye.
Well, if someone can call me, thank you.
I don't know how we're going to do that. We'll get George to ring you on your phone. I think you're getting to text you, I think, might be the best way.
Move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hull.
Happy to second it, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, I just have a question about this.
Yep.
It says on page 58, there are 438 properties subject to land acquisition by council or the New South Wales government. So the land acquisitions that will be done by council, does that mean council is fully funding them? So we are paying for them completely?
I'll ask the relevant council officer to answer that for you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Councillor, and through the CEO, the items for acquisition are funded through the contributions plan, so they will be funded with development contributions received.
So yes is the answer. Councillor Haggerty, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you for bringing this to council. I guess can you talk through you, Madam Mayor, but can you just speak to sort of what initiatives, what lobbying, what advocacy we're doing here in regards to being able to acquire these properties quicker? There are people that have been waiting, 10 years here, and it's been zoned as open space, and they can't do much with it, and they're stuck. And I think just out of a sort of natural justice thing, it would be wonderful to be able to acquire some of these properties in a quicker fashion. What are we doing in that space?
Mr. Smith, I'll ask you to address that.
Thank you. Through the CEO, Advocacy, no, councillor, because the properties to be acquired, council has to acquire those. So council's in the process of putting the final touches on a priority land acquisition strategy. And if Mr. Milich is online, he may be able to provide a status update on that.
So just to clarify, I guess in terms of we're governed by by a state government act that sort of says you have to wait for XYZ to occur so there's enough money in the bucket. Is there any advocacy we're doing at the state government level in order to make this a smoother process or a quicker process, more efficient process?
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Through the CEO, we are certainly looking at opportunities to streamline and fast-track the provision of infrastructure. That includes land acquisition. We are looking at early acquisition, so forward funding of infrastructure, low-cost interest loan initiatives and other funding that we can have access to in order to acquire land earlier. You are right, traditionally, council has waited for contributions to be received from development to then pay for acquisition. So we are looking at options to do acquisitions in a much more streamlined way and fast-track the acquisition of land, including discussions with government, yes.
Through Madam Mayor, I would add to Mr. Smith's comments that in terms of advocacy, the commissioner who's been appointed to look at the whole land acquisition and process specifically within the Aerotropolis. But we've had a number of sessions with Roberta Ryan. We're seeking to influence that process directly, and hopefully there will be improvements. I think there's general recognition that this is a problematic area and something radical change is needed.
Thank you. Questions all answered? Anybody wish to speak for or against the motion?
Madam Mayor, I just need to seek some clarity, please, if that's okay. So with the recommendation that's in the book, basically, if that's adopted, what happens from there? Doesn't this come to a standstill when previously council have wanted to move this along, because there are people that have been waiting for many, many years and just don't know what's going to happen?
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Through the CEO, councillor, this was a report requested by council on a list of properties that council does need to acquire. So its recommendation is to receive and note the report. No, it doesn't put a stop to acquisitions. So in the capital works budget that is on the agenda tonight, the operational budget, it identifies the funding for acquisitions this coming financial year. So council will still be progressing with the funding. This was more a report for information that council had requested.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to put it to a vote. Councillor Yard?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Balut?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Haggerty?
For, sorry.
Councillor Hall?
For.
Councillor Calienda?
For, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Carnip?
For, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes?
Yep, for.
Councillor Shelton?
For, thank you, Madam Mayor.
I declare it carried. Can George text Councillor Hadid and ask him to return to his computer?
I've done that, thank you.
And the next item is on page 71.
Happy to move that too, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hall.
I'm happy to
I'll
move
second that, Madam Mayor.
clarification, Madam Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Rhodes. Thank you.
The question I've got, Madam Mayor, is the increase, is that in line with other contribution rates for similar type areas in other LGAs?
I'll ask the CEO for the appropriate council staff member.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, councillor. Through the CEO, I'll need to take that on notice to see how that applies to other contribution plans in other council areas. But it's certainly similar to the contributions reforms that we've done in the Austral Leppington North Precinct. But if you're happy, I'll take that on notice.
No, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers against the motion? I'll put it. Those in favour, those against, declare it carried. Next item's on page 78.
I'll move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ayard. We're going to second that.
Yeah, I'll second it, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Did. Is there any opposition? Move it. Those, yes? Somebody has something they wish to say? No? I'll put it. Those in favour, those against, declare it carried. The next item's on page 90.
I'll move that way, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. That's Councillor Caliander and Councillor Hull. Any opposition?
Madam Mayor, I've got some questions about this one.
Certainly, ask your questions.
Looking at the work that they've done, and I thank the department for doing it, but would it be more sync for the tab for adopting a dog was up at a tab under adopting a pet? It seems to be in the wrong position to me. I've got other ones. Another question that I'm interested in, the release fees. Can council explain, after a dog is picked up, how long does it take for the animal to be advertised on the website? And an example of it would be if the dog is picked up on a Friday afternoon, how long until it is advertised on the website? And do people have to pay for the days before the animal was advertised on the website for the sustenance of the fees, the sustenance fees? Because they've not known that their dog is actually in the pound, and well, they don't know that until it's really on the website.
There is another way to know your dog's missing. They don't come in for their dinner, which we found out the hard way, but that's another story. Okay, can one of the staff answer the question, please?
Mr. Smith, can you address those two questions, please?
Certainly, through the CEO. Thanks, Councillor, for that question. In relation to how it is shown on Council's website, we can certainly make amendments to the website to make it easier. So things need to be under a different tab. So we'll certainly look at that. That's just an operational decision that we can make fairly swiftly. In response to your second question, I'll need to take that on notice. I note that there's a question with notice number 7 in the name of Councillor Haggerty that is being responded to at next month. So when we come to that item, we can always add that as an additional question that we can come back to you next month with a considered answer.
Well, I have another question then, if I may. In the education section, have we drawn people's attention to when they are in lockdown, like we currently are? The dog goes to people being around, and when lockdown is over and owners have returned to work, is the time when dogs will have separation anxiety and is more likely to escape from their backyard and end up in the Liverpool animal shelter. I couldn't see that in the education sector, but it was something specifically mentioned when this when we suggested that we need further education for this for the people.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Through the CEO, we can certainly look at that and any additional information that will help constituents with that level of information we can easily put up onto our website. So I'll take that on notice and we'll look at what additional information we can put up on our website. And just, Councillor, just for your information, it's a receive a note report as you requested to come back to Council. Council requested to come back. Any additional changes that we can make to our website, we can certainly do that pretty swiftly.
And just one further, if I may. This is perhaps not related, but I was very disturbed at at something that was said at the Eastern Forum last night, that a constituent claims that the Service Department told her that Council does not have an animal shelter and all animals are sent to Blackdown Council. Can Council explain why they would have been told that information?
I have no idea, Councillor, and it's not accurate. That's an opinion.
No,
I think the staff would have to take that on notice, councillor, and get back to you with an answer.
I'd appreciate that if they could take that on notice and come back. It wasn't an opinion. It was actually something that somebody said that the service department staff said. So
Thank you. Yep, I think they got the message. Any other questions, councillor?
Nope, that's it, Madam Mayor.
All right. Is there any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. The next item's on page 111.
Move it.
Move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Hadid, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Howell. Is there any opposition?
Can I just ask a question about this one, Madam Mayor?
Certainly, councillor.
Is this a policy or a standard? I don't want to get confused between when we call them a policy and it ends up being a standard.
I will get clarity from the CEO or the appropriate staff member.
Our suggestion at the previous council meeting, councillor, was that it would be a standard. Councillors requested that it be treated as a policy, so we have brought that back to you as a policy.
And so this is actually approving a standard of council, not a policy.
No, it's approving a policy.
It's written here as a policy, but the last time it was written as a policy in these papers, it ended up being a standard.
Councillor, I think the CEO made it, excuse me.
The recommendation is that council adopt the updated development and subdivision of land policy.
Yeah. And council asked that it come back as a policy and didn't endorse the standard. So you've got it before you. It's a policy.
It's a policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillors, is there any opposition? I'll put it. Those in favour, those against, declare it carried. Next item is on page 113.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconded?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Caliendo.
Sorry, just a question.
Certainly.
Some very popular initiatives, so well done to everyone involved. Some residents have raised whether it's possible that if they could have one out the front of their house, they'd be willing to co-fund it. Is that an option, or is that something we can go away and have a look at?
Before we ask the staff member to respond, can I say I've asked the same question previously? And the answer has been that it would be very hard if somebody actually paid for that parking spot and a visitor to the street took that spot. I know there could be more at 50 paces, but it'd be very hard to basically stop them from parking there.
Yeah, I don't think the initiative is that you have your own little indented parking bay, but they would fund the cost of the parking bay, and just like any parking bay.
Yeah, but they'd have to share it with everybody. That's
contractually we'd tie it into sort of any payment or something.
Yeah. I mean, to be frank, if I was paying for it, I would personally like to know I had a reliable spot. Maybe I'm not as caring as other people, but anyway.
I've got some questions when you're ready.
Certainly, go ahead, Councillor.
Well, can I get an answer to my one, please?
Yes, certainly.
Madam Mayor, I'll ask David Smith to comment on that, though we may have to take that on notice and explore our options around that if council is minded.
Thank you, Councillor. And through the CEO, we have looked at that. When the guidelines were written, that was something I asked to be looked at. As Madam Mayor outlined, one of the issues that we've found through the research on that is if people were doing so, they have ownership effectively. They believe they have ownership. So the way we've progressed this is through a budget allocation through the financial year operational plan and to prioritise the streets based on the criteria that are outlined in the guidelines.
Thank you. Councillor Rowe, do you have questions?
Yes, the image figure 2 on page 116, the parking restrictions along one side of the street, they seem to be cars just parked along the street. They're not on the verge or there doesn't seem to be any indented parking. Is that what council is anticipating doing? Like you're not necessarily going to provide the indented parking that Can you explain that photograph to me?
Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. And through the CEO, that photograph is just identifying an option that's out of the guidelines that Council has already approved. So there are a number of options. This report is talking about the progress towards implementing the guidelines and identifying the streets that we've identified where indented parking bays can occur. What that photo is showing is not every street is narrow enough that it needs indented parking bays. The primary concern from the community and through the council resolutions has been efficient traffic movement along these local streets. One other way of doing that that's significantly less expensive is putting parking restrictions on one side of the street and allowing people to park on the other. That doesn't work all the time, and it actually reduces on-street parking. So what this report was saying is, here are the streets that we're looking at, the indented parking bays, but through the traffic committee, we also look at other alternates where it's practicable.
All right. Just another 2 questions, if I may. In the initial list, I can't see any streets for Moorebank or Wattle Grove where there's been an influx of density increasing developments such as boarding houses and apartments. Is that area going to be looked at in some sort of urgency fashion? Because it's one that is severely impacted by those developments which are increasing parking in streets.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Councillor. Through the CEO, these are streets that have been volunteered, I guess, or nominated by the community and members of Parliament. Councillors are more than able to nominate other streets, and then we'll prioritise those based on the criteria that are outlined in the guidelines that Council has already endorsed. So if you do have other streets, feel free to send those through to our Transport Management Department and we'll look into them.
And finally, the $6,000 per parking bay, is that cost going to be passed on to developers in the already developed areas such as Moorebank when boarding houses and or apartment DAs are considered? And if so, how would that work?
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Through the CEO, thanks, Councillor, for that further question. No, it's not proposed to do so. The Council has allocated a budget allocation this current financial year, and it's proposed for the next financial year to do so. It is not proposed to levy that on developers.
Would it be something that you would consider in the already developed areas? Because there's not much that you can do, but you know, there could be a contribution to developers if they want to increase the number of cars that are going to be in the streets.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, thank you. Through the CEO, we can certainly take that on notice and have a look at it as part of a review of the contributions plans in the established areas. We can levy for local traffic management facilities under a contributions plan. So it's a good suggestion. We'll take that on board and have a look at that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to make a suggestion if possible. I'm just looking at the list and it says Moncton Avenue in Middleton Grange. There are also many other streets in Middleton Grange. Moncton Avenue currently has some new homes going up, which is making it very difficult for people that live here to park. My neighbours recently, so I actually live in Middleton Grange and the neighbour, not far from Moncton Avenue, and the neighbours recently have received a letter and they were quite concerned that they were going to get fines because they're parking on the nature strips at the moment, but they're doing that because there's construction going on, and where the construction is happening, as you can appreciate, the construction workers want to park as close as possible to the site. And it's actually not a work zone. I mean, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but this is just a situation and the people are just kind of working around that situation and just saying, oh, you know, I'll park here, then I'll move my car later. And then you get one resident who complains and everybody receives a letter and then everybody starts to get worried. So Middleton Grange really, really needs some addressing. The parking is absolutely shocking, and namely with the local schools. At peak hour, a lot of the parents are using the local streets and walking down to the schools, and it doesn't work. It's not functional.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'm going to put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. Next item's on page 119.
Move
Move it,
that
Madam
way.
Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Balut, second.
Question, Madam Mayor.
Hold on, who was the seconder?
I'll second it, Madam Mayor.
I thought
Oh,
Councillor Shelton put his hand up. Thank you. Go ahead, question.
Yes, Madam Mayor. With these grants, does the applicant have to contribute towards what they're applying for? In other words, if the grant is $10,000, as it is in one of these, do they have to put anything towards it? I'm getting a bit of feedback from the community saying in their days, scouts and so on used to raise funds to do things. And it seems to be a given that it's easy to apply for council and get the grants that way. I would have thought there must be some sort of incentive that they at least contribute some kind of percentage to whatever they're asking for.
I'll ask the CEO for the answer.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll make a general comment, councillors. Essentially, it depends on the nature of the grant. There are a number of different grant categories. One of them, the matching grants, requires a contribution, and that can either be financial or by works in kind. So it varies in that way. But I'll ask Mrs. Bono to add any further detail to that.
Thank you. Through the CEO, yeah, that's correct, Councillor Hull. With the matching grant, there is an expectation that they also contribute, and also within the corporate sponsorships, it just depended on the variance of the event or or what is actually being applied for. But often there is an additional contribution from the group.
And Councillor, I suppose the other thing is most of the recipients, they involve a lot of volunteers as well as sometimes professional staff. So there's a contribution in kind there as well.
So in answer to your question, Councillor, yes, they do contribute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody wish to speak against it? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. The next item's on 128.
Happy to
Move the
move.
recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and seconded by Councillor Rhodes. Any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried.
Madam Mayor, if I can just make on a point of information, the report refers to the event occurring on the 18th of July. I believe that's now going to take place because of the COVID situation that's been deferred until the 15th of August.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Council, the next item's on page 131.
Happy to move that.
That way. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sheldon and Councillor Rhodes. Any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, carried. Next item's on 139.
Happy to move that way, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Rhodes, seconded. Seconded by...
Happy
I'll
to.
second it.
Madam
Thanks,
Mayor.
Madam Mayor.
Don't all rush me. Councillor Hall, thank you. Any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. The next item's on 142.
I have a possible amendment, Madam Mayor.
You have a motion, Councillor?
I'd like to change some of the one part of it. That's all.
Okay. What is it?
That's on page 172, civil expenses policy. That's what this is, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
On paragraph 4.82, F for Freddie.
Yeah.
It states that panel members be paid the standard fee that is there. I would suggest that is removed and it be set at the current rate paid to panel members appointed by the state government.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder?
I'll second it, Madam Mayor.
I have a declaration of interest in this regard. Because I'm on the panel, I would like to remove myself from this discussion. I'd ask the Deputy Mayor now to take over my chairing, and I will leave the virtual room.
Okay.
On that note, I note that the mover of that motion also is on the panel. I don't know
Exactly
whether...
right.
It's his decision, Councillor.
I'm an alternate on that panel, so I'm out. Bye.
And to come to think of it, I think I'm an alternate, but I've never been used, but I'm an alternate on it as well, so I better not second it.
Well, in this case, I would like to move the recommendation, Madam Mayor, as the book, as per the book.
Can you please clarify, Madam Mayor, can you please clarify where I'm reading in the agenda?
I believe the Mayor has removed herself from this item. So, Deputy Mayor Hadid, are you chairing currently?
I'm chairing now.
Deputy Mayor, I'd like to know where Councillor Hull pointed us to in the agenda so I could read it.
Okay, well, just a minute. Councillor Hull, would you please...
it's on page 172, subsection 4.8.2, paragraph F for Freddie. And I would like to say I declare an interest here too, but this is not going to take effect until the next financial year, until the next term of council. This isn't going to affect this council.
Okay, but are you a candidate, Councillor? So that's the issue. If you are a candidate, re-elected.
I'm a candidate and I'm prepared to, I think it's being discriminatory at the moment.
Yeah. And it will affect the current term of council. It starts on the 1st of July, which is tomorrow.
Yes,
Sorry?
that's right.
Page 142, paragraph 2, starts from the 1st of July. That would be tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I withdraw as well.
Okay.
This is getting ridiculous.
Well, that's the issue now.
I'll move as per book, if you don't mind, Deputy Mayor.
Well, this is fine. Well, the recommendation moved by Councillor Balloon. Any second that?
I'll second that, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Cleander. Okay, I put the motion. All in favour, say aye. Any against? None. I declare motion carried. Would you please call the Madam Mayor?
Deputy Mayor, can we record that there were no votes against, apart from those that removed themselves then?
Yep, by general consent, yes.
Thank you, councillors. I'm sorry to have done that, but I didn't realise that that was going to be a motion. So these things happen. I apologise. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Well, it's all right. We just moved the recommendation.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, the next item on the agenda is page 183.
Happy to move that way, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Rhodes, seconded.
Just a question.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
Is that going to have an impact?
Well, no and yes. It's going to. It's postponed to the end of August, and that happened late this afternoon because we felt it may get caught up in a whole lot of stuff that may happen after the 2 weeks shutdown. And we now have 3 sponsors on board as well, which is fantastic, but we still need to make sure it is paid for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's there. Moved by Councillor Rhodes, seconded.
Happy to second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put it those in favour, those against, declare it carried. Next item's on page 183.
Happy to remove the recommendation.
Oh, sorry, that's 86. I apologise.
Wrong one, yeah.
186.
Yeah, I'm going forward in time. That's Councillor Hull, seconded by...
Which one are we up to, Madam Mayor?
Bogo.
Yes, I can second that one. Thank you.
Councillor Rhodes. Any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. The next item's on page 208.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hull.
I will second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Calienda. Any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
In regard to the pest management policy and strategy, I just have a question. I've asked this question in the past, but I just want to know if it's included in this pest management policy and strategy that's coming up now. It's just in regards to the mosquitoes along the Georges River, namely affecting people that live near the Georges River in Chipping Norton, Moorebank. And I do know over the past couple of years it was really causing some distress to a lot of residents. So is that included?
Well, Councillor, the matter has actually been carried, so debate is closed, but for the information of the meeting, Council put out a lot of information relating to mosquito management and how residents could prevent them from breeding. And we did a lot of work with the residents, and as far as I'm aware, we're continuing that in regards to education particularly. And in some areas where it's reported there's infestations, we are actually taking active, actions to lower the mosquito population.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do remember the professor came out and spoke to us. I do recall that. But then they kind of said that the mosquito breeding season was over and that we wouldn't be doing anything at that point in time, and that was it was going to roll over to the next year, basically. So now, after the winter, coming into the warmer weather, can I have a response to that taken on notice, please?
Hold on a minute, Councillor. Yes, Councillor Calienda.
I believe this issue is covered on page 217 in the summary of feedback received from the Environmental Advisory Council, point 1 in the table.
Thank you for that information, Councillor. Councillor Ard, the information is on page 217.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next item is on page 218.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move this with an addition.
What is your motion, Councillor?
That we put in another, under 2, we put in explores opportunities to attract wildlife park to the Liverpool LGA as 3 and move 3 down to number 4 point.
Okay, thank you. Have you got a seconder?
Happy to second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
May I foreshadow?
All right, hold your horses. Okay, Councillor Rhodes, would you speak to your motion, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Following the very in-depth information that has been provided to Council, it is obvious that the Hardstand Koala Hospital and Sanctuary is not a financial possibility. It is that we could explore ways to support existing veterinary care and network for wildlife through a mobile veterinary service. But I just think that it would also, because we can't get the veterinary, the koala hospital or sanctuary, I think that we might be able to do more if we have a wildlife park actually in the Liverpool LGA. So if we make that to the Liverpool LGA, that would help. I know that in previous discussions with people who operate wildlife sanctuary, wildlife parks, they have expressed an interest in the Liverpool LGA because of our access to the airport. And it just seems like this might give further strength to the ways that we can support, particularly through a mobile veterinary service. And perhaps we should put in there that we also explore the mobile veterinary service, explores ways to support the existing veterinary care network for wildlife, including a mobile veterinary service.
Thank you. Any speakers against the motion? Speak. Does the seconder wish to speak?
No. It's all good.
No, thank you. All right, any other speakers? All right, I'll put it to a vote. Could we put the sheet up, please, George? Excuse me. Okay, we're waiting for the, here it comes. All right. Councillor Yard, how are you voting on this motion?
I'll vote for, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Balut?
For, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Chitty? Not here. Councillor Did?
For.
Seconded it. Councillor Haggerty?
Oh, I'll go for.
Councillor Hull?
For.
Councillor Caliander?
4, I guess.
Councillor Calib?
For, Miss.
The Rhodes? She moved it. Councillor Shelton?
For, Madam Mayor, thanks.
Declare it carried. Thank you, Councillor.
Declare that as being unanimous, Madam Mayor.
I wouldn't vote for it, so no, it's not unanimous.
Oh.
Thank you. The next item is on
Move the minute as a whole, Madam Mayor.
committees as a whole by Councillor Hadid.
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any objections? I'll put it. Those in favour of the committees, those against, declare it carried. The next item is on page 322.
Madam Mayor, can I move that we move the committee reports as a whole?
They're done.
They're done. They're done.
Oh,
They're done.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. We're up to questions without notice, and the first one's in your name, Councillor. On page 322.
Yep. Happy with that response, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The next item is on page 325 in the name of your name too.
Yes. So just in relation to this, I think I just had a follow-up question regarding whether there were sort of specific reports or any kind of paperwork that was brought back to council, just as a follow-up to the second question.
Okay. I'll take that on notice. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
The next item's on page 327 under the name of Councillor Haggerty.
Yep, thank you for that. I'm assured that we are doing what we can to fill those vacancies, and the quicker we do that, the quicker we can have people out there cutting the grass, filling the potholes, cleaning up parks as residents and ratepayers would like. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item's in your name as well, page 328.
Happy with the answers there as well.
Thank you. Next item is in Councillor Ayad's name on page 331. Councillor Ayad, you there? All right, well, Councillor Ayad has the next two, so we'll do Councillor Haggerty on page 334 and we'll come back.
Yep, I'm happy to wait for answers on these. Now, did Councillor Rhodes want to tack on some questions here as per the earlier discussion?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Councillor Haggerty. I'm quite happy to wait until your responses come back and then possibly add on to it then.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
yes,
Madam Mayor, Councillor, having some difficulties with the microphone, trying to fix it.
That's okay. It's fine. The next item is Councillor Caliander on page 336.
I will wait for those responses to come back. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ayad.
Yeah, my mic is working now. Apologies for that.
No worries. Page 331.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, to be honest, I wasn't completely happy with that response because it's kind of telling me where to go and not giving me the answer. I'll be happy to find that answer, but in future I would like if the question was actually answered rather than giving me direction on where to go for the information. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item's on page 333.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, with this I had also another question from a resident. They wanted to know, was the travel booked through local agents or online multinational travel agents?
We'll take that on notice, Councillor, so they'll get back to you with that one.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I wasn't really given an answer. I was told where to go to get the information.
Thank you. The next item is the addendum document. And the first item...
I think there is a question for Councillor Haggerty. Animal welfare.
Councillor Haggerty, do you have your hand up?
No, we covered that one.
Okay. He's done, Councillor. Next item's on page 904.
Madam Mayor, are we on the addendum booklet now?
Yes, we are.
I have a question about that, Madam Mayor.
All right, Councillor. What's your question?
Somewhere in the report, it reports on cats, and I thought that we didn't take in cats. I'm sorry, I can't see where it is.
Well, I'll give you a moment to find it. And does anybody else have any questions? No. I'll ask the CEOs have anything they wish to add about cats.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you. I'm not aware of where that says, so if there's further information, we can certainly look into that.
All right, I'll take that offline, Madam Mayor. I mean, I don't have any objection to it. It's just that it was on page 955.
All right.
Does Liverpool take in cats? Is the rehome figure, is that accurate? If we don't take in cats? That was the question.
Okay.
On page 955.
Thank you. Well, I think staff I think taking it offline is probably the best way to deal with this at the moment, because the staff can't produce that information without being prepared in
the report, in the council report. That's a page 955. But,
thank you. Okay, I'm going to put it. Those in favour?
Madam Mayor, I have some questions, please.
Certainly, Councillor. What are your questions?
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that the deficit is 12 million according to this budget that's before us.
I'll ask the CEO to comment.
I think it's 11.5, but I'll ask Mr. Nadan to confirm that.
So the CEO, it's 11.5. The original budget that went on exhibition had 12, I think, but we have received information that we can charge the compliance levy for the first 6 months, and that has been incorporated in the result. So it's 11.55.
Thank you. I have some more questions, Madam Mayor, if that's okay. I'm just a little bit concerned about the financial position of council at the moment, and I believe it's their responsibility or our responsibility to exercise prudent financial management. Are my concerns legitimate in the CFO's opinion? Do I have legitimate concerns about where we're heading financially?
I'll ask the CEO to comment.
Madam Mayor, I think given the challenges that we have been faced with over the last 18 months and some of the policy decisions that have created further challenges for us, I think we're in robust shape. What I would also say is that that's not simply our view. Over the past 6 months, we have been in the process of trying to securing the loan for Liverpool Civic Place. We have been subjected to the independent scrutiny of a leading professional services company, that we have been subjected to the scrutiny of TCOR and to a number of the big four banks. They have all come up with very positive reviews of where we sit and our long-term financial plan, and I would like to commend Mr. Nadan and his team for the work that they've done in that regard. I think we're in pretty good shape, but I'll ask Mr. Nadan to talk in more detail about that.
Thank you, Eddie. I think you made all the relevant points. I just wanted to add that the challenges, the financial challenges that the Growth Councils face has been recognised at state level. There is an article in the Australian Financial Review, and which acknowledges this point. As you have said, we are in a strong position, but extra rate income that's been flagged to include a growth factor in the peg rate will definitely help and improve our position further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nadan. Madam Mayor, I would also add, I can assure councillors this is something that we are treating very, very seriously as an executive team. We're pushing an efficiency and effectiveness agenda down through the organisation. We're reviewing big ticket items, and I'm confident, while it's certainly a challenging situation, I'm confident that we can work with councillors to provide you with the information and the financial analysis to give you the assurance that you need. I think the workshops were the start of that process, and I look forward to continuing to provide you with that information and working closely with you to ensure that we have the highest levels of transparency and probity.
Sure. Madam Mayor, sorry, I have some more questions.
Yes.
To use the CEO's comments, with all due respect, you said we're in robust shape, but our last deficit was 9 million and now we're sitting at 11.5 million. This is quite concerning to me, and I'd like to know if the CFO believes that council is heading in a financially sound direction if we keep heading this way.
Mr. Nadan?
So the CEO, as we mentioned that our long-term financial plan, so we're just not looking at this year, we're looking at 10 years ahead. We have drawn up a long-term financial plan, and that's been validated by Grant Thornton and the banks, and they have not raised any concern so far. Yes, this is an accounting result of $12 or $11 million deficit position, which includes about $45 million or $46 million of non-cash depreciation charge. And again, I've covered that in the workshops that, this is a bit of a false economy for growth councils where we have to depreciate new assets that come on board. As a growth council, we have a significant number of infrastructure that's added year on year, and that needs to be depreciated from year one. Again, they're new assets. They don't require maintenance for 10 to 15 years. So a bit of a false economy there. But accounting-wise, following the accounting results, we do have to account for that. Cash-wise, in terms of financial sustainability, from cash position, we don't have any problems.
Okay. So do you believe if council keeps going, in the direction we are travelling, that we would still be able to deliver services to a decent standard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Shelton, have you any more questions, Councillor?
No, Madam Mayor, I just want to add a number 3 when you're ready.
Okay, well, councillors, we don't have a mover and a seconder yet, so Councillor Shelton, you have your hand up?
Yeah, question through you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Nadan. I understand the interest we're earning on our investment portfolio, which is a little bit north of $200 million, has changed this year to last year. And I just wonder if you could give a simple estimate as to what the interest is proposed this time around compared to last year, bearing in mind interest rates have gone down so much over the last 12 months. Thank you.
So the CEO, thank you, Councillor Shelton. We are actually budgeting about $4.5 million interest revenue, again, as we know, the interest markets very, very low at the minute. Again, this depends on the capital works program, the expenditure that we have. This estimate was done 3 months ago, and normally the capital works program is escalated in the last quarter of every financial year. Subject to that, if we don't have that level of as planned a level of spending, then obviously we'll have cash, more than what we expected on hand, and that will impact on our interest revenue. So currently 4.5, but we will be monitoring that as we go, and we'll be reporting to the council.
And do you have conveniently available the interest for the last financial year?
It is actually, if you look at page is this, sorry, there's a summary there. In 1920, we had $6.3 million interest revenue. In 2021, we are looking at 4.9 million, and what we are proposing for 21-22 is 4.5 million.
So the change in deficit is roughly equal to the change in interest over the last 2 years, last year and the present year.
Yes, plus the impact of COVID we had in 1920, the last quarter, and the first quarter in 2021.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The question is through the CEO to Nadan. Nadan, given the circumstances now, the COVID-19, are you able to tell us what the COVID-19 effect on our current budget, our proposed budget?
In the proposed budget?
Yeah.
Through the CEO, no, we assume that we will be out of COVID situation from July, but unfortunately that's not the case. What we have done, I can report that with this current lockdown, there will be some revenue impacted, likes of parking fees, community facilities, sporting facilities higher. We're just looking at, the numbers are not significant on a monthly basis. We had a big impact on the DA applications last year, but it kind of picked up towards the end of the year. Parking fees, we think it will be about $75,000 impact on each month. For community facilities, it's about $85,000 each month. In terms of expenditure, we also have to incur additional expenses on vehicle hire to allow our social distancing, plus buying of personal protective equipment that might cost us $25,000. So all in all, on a monthly basis, is about close to $150,000 to $200,000 impact every month.
Every month?
That hasn't been included in the budget next year.
Okay, so in this case, if the situation gets worse and if the debt starts, increasing, have you got any strategy to face it?
Councillor, that's an important question. And clearly the national strategy is that when we get herd immunity through the vaccination programme, then that will provide the protection that people need and the opportunity to revert to a more normal lifestyle. Other than that, we can't speculate. Beyond that, we can't speculate. But I assure you that we will continue to monitor and report back to Council in terms of the management of the budget, the progress of the budget, and any of the difficulties or challenges that we face.
I can understand that, Mr. CEO, but I believe we should have a strategy to face any escalation in the current situation, you know what I mean? So we should have some things in place, because otherwise, as you know, we have like more than 11.5 million in debts now. If the situation gets worse, it will blow up. That's more than that. And Council has a lot of commitment, So how we can face that one? It absolutely will affect our service is provided to the community, it will affect, the whole services we're running. So we should have something in place, I believe. It's very concerning, to be honest with you. Very concerning.
I understand and share your concern, Councillor. The executive team met on Sunday evening along with the critical incident team. We're beginning a process of planning that will extend to financial planning and the development of a range of options around the duration. If it's an extended duration, then we will plan for that and communicate that to you. But you make a good point.
I think, Councillor, the staff will take that on notice. I mean, I don't think, unfortunately, while your concerns are valid and everybody agrees, I don't think we can address the issue right now, unfortunately, but it is being taken on board.
I didn't say go and address it right now. I said you should have some sort of a policy and some sort of strategy in place just in case the situation gets worse.
Yeah, and I think that's what the CEO is saying. They're looking at that as we speak, which is reassuring.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Haggerty, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just a few questions. Council's books are audited by the New South Wales Audit Office. Is that the case?
That's correct.
Yep. From all reports, they've given us a tick of approval.
That's correct, Councillor. The ratios are reported on as part of that report. We met 4 out of 6 in the last financial year, and the reason we didn't meet the 2 out of the 6 was because, in the auditor's view, it was directly related to COVID.
Okay. And then you just mentioned, I think it was 1.5 million positive to budget because of the compliance levy deferment. So just working this out off the top of my head here, does that mean our net operating result, which is total revenue minus total expenditure, is now 86.1 million profit?
Mr. Naran, that's a projected figure.
So the CEO, yeah, that includes capital revenue as well, Angela.
Okay, so 86.1 billion profit.
Million, yes, that includes capital revenue as well.
Thanks. And just in relation to COVID, we've heard about the additional expenses, but are there any sort of savings to be made there? I note that I think the museum, the libraries and CPAC are closed. Are there potential savings as a result of that?
To the CEO, yes, there will be. Of course, the services are closed, and the operating cost is not being incurred, so there will be savings. But staff will be there. They'll be redeployed in other areas which potentially could have been filled in by contractors. That will be some savings, but I can't quantify now. But there is potential for saving.
Okay, thank you. That's it from me.
Thank you, Councillor Bluth. You have your hand up.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. When the last time, just for everyone to know, the council books was audited? Vashwa, please, through CEO.
Through the CEO, the last audit report we had was in October last year. As we speak, we have been audited. That's the interim audit that will be finalised in October this year. So it's annual cycles.
Is it you're talking about when is it audited? Quarterly, 6 months, or yearly?
Annually.
Annually, every year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there Councillor Rhodes? You have your hand up.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Vishwa, I also note that you report to the Audit and Risk Committee, and that gives Council ample opportunity to pick up any danger signs. And of course, this is a living document that has to be able to change because of the situation that we're in. It is so unpredictable. The interest rates could possibly fall even further. And COVID we don't know exactly what sort of effects that are going to have on our budget moving forward. But I always take some confidence in the fact that at the Audit and Risk Committee, they go through and analyse the budget and the possible risks as they present themselves to us. So I thank you for doing that, because we are in very difficult and time at a time when there's so much uncertainty. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and I look forward to the Audit and Risk Committee meetings.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Would like to have a mover?
Yeah, I believe Councillor Ayed wants to move something.
Yes, I heard that, but I've asked for a mover.
Well, I'll move it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. Seconder?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Hall.
Madam Mayor, if the mover and the seconder are happy, I'd like to add a number 3.
What's your number 3, Councillor?
So number 3 would be that, as usual, that council will report back to us in 3 months, which they do every quarter. And they will identify strategies to reduce the bottom line deficit and bring us to a balanced budget.
Thank you. Are the mover and seconder happy with that?
Well, I think that strategy has already been suggested at different committee meetings, that there is a plan in place that of different scenarios of whatever might happen to us in this uncertain time. So I'm happy for that to be there, because Council obviously is working towards that, and I've seen plans where they've mentioned it. So happy to have it put it there.
Thank you. Is the seconder happy with it?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I think it's a given that this is going to happen anyway. I really don't think we need to put it there. I hope Council is awake up to that fact. But I'm happy with it.
All right, thank you. Are there any other discussion? I'll put it, those in favour, those against, declare it carried. Next,
Madam Mayor, can I be listed as voting against, please?
Even with your amendment? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not completely happy with the budget, and I don't believe that my fellow councillors will adopt what I'm thinking. So I'm glad that they've accepted my amendment, because I believe it definitely has to be there, because we need to have a balanced budget and have transparency. And if we keep going in this direction, it's very scary.
I think we've got the gist. Sorry, the debate's over.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Note that you're against it. Thank you. The next
Mayor, can I move that the last item be re-put?
Yes, you got a seconder?
I'll
Yes,
second for the purpose of debate.
Okay, we're going to go backwards in time, and you wish to have it re-put?
If you're going to re-put it, I will vote against the budget.
Okay, all right. Well, we haven't got that far yet, Deputy Mayor.
Okay,
so
I'm telling you.
We're moving that we re-vote, or you want the debate redid, or whole of the, what do you want to do, Councillor?
Good question.
You want the matter re-voted?
Yes, I just want to record everyone's vote on that one, if that's possible.
It's a bit hard to do standing up in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I'll do is ask George to put the voting sheet up.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, if I may clarify, what are we voting for now?
We've gone back to the original motion.
Madam Mayor?
Gone back to the original motion for the vote to be redone.
Madam Mayor, is it right to say that Councillor Haggerty wants a division where we're all recorded?
Yes.
Is that fair to say? Yeah, okay.
Is that your intention, Councillor?
Yeah. It's just a bit hard to do it virtually, that's all.
It's a bit difficult to stand up in your lounge room. Okay, Councillor Ayard, are you voting against?
Yes.
Thank you. God, can we make the font bigger? She says, thank you. That's wonderful. Councillor Balut?
If you're voting as per book, I'll go as per book, Madam Mayor.
There is an amendment that Councillor Ayard put in, which is a quarterly report working towards reducing the deficit or a balanced budget.
Yes, I'd be happy with that quarterly report.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so you're for. Councillor Didd?
Against.
Against. Councillor Haggerty?
For.
Councillor Hall?
For.
Councillor Calianda?
For, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kanib?
For, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Rhodes?
Yep, for.
Councillor Shelton?
For, Madam Mayor.
And I'm voting for. The motion is carried. Thank you. Moving along, we are now back again to page 337.
That's me. Everyone would have heard that the ABC is announced it's moving from Ultimo to the western suburbs. It has flagged Parramatta, but from press reports, they actually haven't found a location, and they haven't even engaged a consultant or a property person to actually find space for them yet. So I think it's a great opportunity for Liverpool to actually go, don't worry about Parramatta, come to Liverpool. We saw how successful the pop-up was earlier this month. In briefings for those that attend, we have discussed on a number of occasions strategies to improve the CBD, and one of them is about getting some well-known, high-quality tenants in the CBD, and I think the ABC fits the bill. The bill, which is a show on the ABC, that was a pun, but basically it's. Someone liked it. Basically, look, this is a great opportunity for Liverpool. We proved that it worked and worked well earlier this year, and hopefully everyone will get behind it. The response from the public and others has been very positive, so I hope the response from my fellow councillors is the same. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to second.
This is a should be commended for it.
Pardon, Councillor Rhodes?
I said I'm happy to second his motion because this is a brilliant motion and he should be commended for it.
Oh, thank you. Well, Councillor did beat you to the punch, but can I say the ABC were also very happy to be here as well. So,
Madam Mayor,
yes,
I agree with the sentiments, and I'd just like to add something if the mover and the seconder are happy to add it.
Yes, what is it?
So basically, just to amend it to include the SBS also. So basically to also lobby the SBS to move to Liverpool as the former mayor and his team did previously, so to kind of pick up on that work, and why not have both the ABC and SBS right here at home in Liverpool?
I agree, and can I tell you, councillors, there have been a lot of discussion with the SBS. It hasn't died in a ditch. That conversation has been continued. Councillor Rhodes.
No, sorry, Madam Mayor. I said my bit. I thought I had it up to second the motion, but...
Are you done, Councillor Balut?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, look, I really commend that motion and absolutely agree. It couldn't be a better home in every respect for the ABC and the SBS to make Liverpool home. It will be fantastic opportunity, and what a growth that will create within Liverpool LGA. So I strongly believe that our machine, the council, should work extremely hard with all its knowledge and power to do their best to bring ABC and SBS into Liverpool, and that's where they'll fit in fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the mover happy with SBS being added in there?
As I said, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think...
so the mover and the seconder are happy, that's fine. Is there any disagreement
Madam Mayor?
Motion? Yes.
Madam Mayor, in light of the comments you made regarding SBS, would it be possible for me to suggest a number 3?
Well, it depends on the mover and the seconder, but what is it?
So it would basically be I've got it written down here somewhere in my notes. So basically acknowledge that the former mayor and former councillors were working on bringing SBS to Liverpool, just to show, just to acknowledge all the work that they put in the Building Our New City program. And Madam Mayor, I know that you were part of it, and there's a couple of councillors that are currently on our local council that were also part of the Our Building New City program. And I do know that the former mayor did a lot of work on this. And I believe that they need to be acknowledged, and hopefully this goes ahead. And I commend Councillor Haggerty on putting this motion up. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you. It's up to the mover and the seconder. Mover, are you happy with this extra point?
Just if we could change the word slightly, because I think we're selling ourselves short there. Maybe we acknowledge the work of former councillors and staff, because lots of people have been working on this. So former. I think councillors and staff is adequate. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd have to disagree that that's a little bit disrespectful, because we always do refer to the mayor as the mayor and refer to the mayor with respect.
Councillor, it's up to the mover to accept your addendum or your amendment, and he has changed it to accommodate your sentiments. I think it's up to him to actually agree. He said no, but he was happy to try to bring your sentiments into the motion, in fairness. So I think while I understand your issues, it's not appropriate at this point to have a go, because it's not procedurally correct.
Oh, no, Madam Mayor, I'm not having a go. I'm just acknowledging the work that was done, and I'm acknowledging the position and respecting the position of the Mayor. As you know, I have much respect for that position, Madam Mayor, as you are very, very aware, and so are my fellow councillors.
Yes, I think all aware. Okay, thank you. The motion has been moved by the mover. And we have a seconder. Is there any opposition? I'll put it, those in favour, those against are carried. The next item is...
Can we have that as unanimous? I think...
yes,
very
unanimous.
Very rarely do we see everyone get behind something so positively, and I commend my councillors for that.
Thank you. The next item is in Councillor Caliander's name on page 338.
Whoops, sorry. It would help if I took myself off mute. Yes, as per the background that I've provided there, basically there have been some issues that have been, I guess, identified with the use of synthetic turf. And I know over this term of council, I've spoken to a number of different sporting associations as well as clubs about some of the benefits of artificial turf in terms of making sporting fields usable in poor weather conditions and that sort of thing. However, this, I guess, the idea of an environmentally sustainable alternative was quite an interesting one. So I would encourage my fellow councillors to, so that we can explore these options, and before making quite significant financial commitments in terms of putting in artificial turf or, building sporting fields with artificial turf into the future, we investigate options that are environmentally sustainable. I think particularly the damage that it does to our waterways is quite concerning. And given our proximity to the river, one that I was quite taken by. So with that, I'll put the motion.
Thank you. We got a seconder?
Happy to second it.
I'll second that, Mayor.
I'll put Councillor Blute's name in there. Thank you. Is there any opposition?
I just have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
Not against it at all. I was just wondering, I know when the soccer fields, the soccer fields went in down there in Liverpool, and they were very proud because they were of an international standard, and I believe that was the artificial turf. I was just wondering, what is the international standard for this if we move away from? Is there an international standard that is not synthetic turf?
Madam Mayor, I think we'll take that one on notice. I'm sure there may well be, but we'll take it on notice.
The reason why I bring it up is because it was because of the international standard of the actual soccer field that they attracted so many of the championships and into the Liverpool LGA. So I can see Councillor Caliander's point, and it's a very good one. But I'm just thinking we don't want to stop the visitation, not that we're getting it now at the moment under COVID, but the visitation for championships and that, because it was a issue that's the reason why they chose Liverpool, was because it was an international standard field.
Yeah.
So
can we just add it as a point 4?
Yeah, can we do that?
If the mover's happy with that?
I don't know how to word that, but
sure, any synthetic turf is compliant with world standard sporting competitions.
Well, we're not really looking for that, do we? Because we don't want plastic. We want to find an alternative for synthetic turf that is compliant with international standards for championship.
Just for the benefit of the typist, through you, Madam Mayor, I believe that the kind of differentiating term I've used there is environmentally sustainable alternative to synthetic turf.
Monitor the progress.
It's a bit wordy. But also, just to address Councillor Rhodes' point, I believe some of the work that's yet to be released, that's ongoing, that's being done by the Department of Planning, Infrastructure and Environment, may address some of those things, because I mentioned in my background they're looking at sustainable alternatives to synthetic grass, and obviously, given that a number of playing surfaces that are under the control of state government are of an international standard and quite large events are held there, that's something that would need to be investigated.
So maybe then, if it's all right with Councillor Caliander, if we just put into sustainable international standard alternatives to synthetic grass, would that be right? We just have to put in the word in number 2 where it says sustainable international standard alternatives.
Maybe we could amend that to read, monitor the progress of DPI's investigation to sustainable alternatives to synthetic grass, including for fields of national and international standards.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, that takes it up, Council.
Yep.
Okay, any opposition? Thank you. I'll put it. Those in favour, those against, declare it carried. The next item are confidential items, and I'm going to move into confidential session. Under section 10A2D1 and 10A2A and 10A2C. Confo 1 is information. Confo 2, there was a motion with Confo 1 which is defeated. Confo 2 is okay, it was information. Confo 3 was information. Sorry about this. Confo 4, the Council, in accordance with section 55(3)(1) of the Local Government Act 1993, approves to defer the public contesting of provision of the maintenance of off-street and on-street parking machines for the period of 4 months ending the 30th of November 2021. Approves Reno International to continue delivering the current maintenance off-street and on-street parking machines during this period. Confo 5, the recommendation is that accepts the tender submissions for the following suppliers: ST2956, retrieval, processing and recycling of civil construction and maintenance waste for initial 2 years, with the additional 2-year 12-month options, maximum of 24 months to extend Benedict Recycling, Bingo Waste, the trustee of Eco Resource Recovery, GPP Excavation and Demolition Contractors, High Quality Recycling Services, Total Drain Cleaning Services, and makes public its decision regarding tender ST 2956, Retrieval, Processing and Recycling and Civil Construction and Maintenance Waste. Notes that the Chief Executive Officer will finalise all details and sign the letter of acceptance following publication of draft minutes on the Council's website for the tender, giving it contractual effect in accordance with the delegated authority, and keeps confidential the details supplied in this report containing information on submissions received pursuant to provisions of Section 10A2D1 of the Local Government Act 1993, as it contains commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the persons who supplied it. The next item is, she turns the page. Goodness, there's a lot of turning of the page. There's a lot of turning of the page, sorry. Page 824. Oh, goodness gracious. There's a lot of information in there. Okay, that Council endorses the finding of the independent assessment of heritage significance prepared by Edwards Heritage at 124 Moore Street, Liverpool. Direct the CEO to prepare a planning proposal to amend the Liverpool Local Environment Plan 2008 to include 124 Moore Street, Liverpool and Schedule 5 Environmental Heritage. And note the planning proposal is required to be considered by the Liverpool Local Planning Panel pursuant to Local Planning Panel's direction. Planning proposals dated 27 September 2018 for the panel's advice to be considered by Council prior to Council making a decision to forward the planning proposal to the Department of Planning, Industry and Environment for a gateway determination, and notify the landowner of the Council's decision. The next item is that Council is Confo 7. Excuse me. Council approves the transfer of lot 50 DP 1261083 at Edmondson Avenue, Austral, to Council at nil value for the dedication of a public road as part of the proposed Edmondson Avenue road widening on the terms outlined in this report. Authorises the CEO or his delegate officer to execute any document under power of attorney necessary to give effect to this decision. Resolves to classify lot 50 DP 1261083 as operational land in accordance with Local Government Act 1993. Also resolves to dedicate the land as public road upon completion to transfer, and keeps confidential this report pursuant to the provisions of Section 10A2C of the Local Government Act 1993, as this information would be, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on the persons on whom the Council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. And And the last one that I have here for me is Council endorses the recommendation to retain the following properties subject to future requirements and terms outlined in this report: 75 to 77 Hill Road, Lanier, comprising of Lot 1 DP 513777, Lot 2 DP 513777, Lot 3 DP 513777, and Lot 4 DP 513777. And 22 First Avenue, Hobson Park, comprising of lot DP 1220807, lot 2 DP 1220807, and lot 3 DP 1220807. There might be a 7 missing from that first point. 9 McLean Avenue Street, Liverpool, lot 7 DP 238364. And the last item, unfortunately, I don't have the last item up on my computer, but I'm assuming that we are adopting the recommendation as put to the Council. And with those words, I'd like to say thank you to everybody. Please genuinely stay safe and make sure your families are safe, and unfortunately enjoy the lockdown. The meeting is closed.